And hi, everybody. I'm Rob Clarke. I work for a company called Commbox. Commbox, they do digital transformation, essentially. They've been around for about 17 years. Global brands like Panasonic, UPS, Prudential, AIG, IKEA. But what we mainly do these days is we do AI automation across all of those channels, and we do it consistently. So regardless of the channel that you're communicating on, it's one workflow. Your AI is the same. We also work with human agents to make sure that their responses are also consistent and they are getting the same responses that, for example, a bot might give. So the title of my talk today is Websites Are Dead. Websites aren't really dead, but the way consumers interact with websites is changing rapidly because the way that consumers interact with brands is changing rapidly. So if your brand is not evolving your website with today's trends, with the way consumers expect to operate, then your website might as well be dead. So what the hell? Before we get into websites, let's talk about agentic AI for a second. AI is such a crazy thing that there's all these buzzwords popping up, and I think it's got to be really confusing for all of you just to even try to figure out, what is what. And agentic AI is such an interesting term. Mark Benioff, the CEO of Dreamforce, back in, I think, October of this year, they introduced Agentforce, which is essentially, they used to have this thing called Einstein, I guess they still do, and then they added generative to it, and so then they've got this Agentforce thing, and he said AI should be agentic, and that was all it took, and then everybody like NVIDIA and IBM and all these people are like, oh, agentic AI, everything's got to be agentic AI. So now all these vendors are talking about agentic AI, but like what exactly is that? So there are really kind of four key things, I think, that make up agentic AI. Number one is the ability to perceive, to gather data across systems, to understand in the CX world what the customer is actually looking for. Two, the ability to reason, to break down those things that the customer is looking for into steps of what it should take, and then actually act on that. So interfacing with tools, APIs, CRMs, to actually do something once they understand what to do. And then probably the most important thing about agentic AI is the ability to learn, the ability to understand, did I do that right? How do I get better the next time? So perceive, reason's very important, act, and then learn. AI fatigue is a super, super real thing. As a company that's actually talking to customers and partners all the time, it's incredible just how worn out people are with AI, trying to figure out what we can do, what we can't do. Really, every vendor is talking about AI right now. Everybody's got a co-pilot, everybody's got a chatbot, whatever it might be. There's tools everywhere. Expectations are high, like chances are pretty good your CEO's like, hey, why aren't we just using AI for this? Can you go give me some AI stuff to work with? But projects are failing everywhere. So 50 to 90% of projects never reach production. And you're like, well, Rob, like 50 to 90%, that's a huge window. And probably the truth is somewhere in the middle, but like IDC says 88% of POCs projects never actually come to fruition. Gartner says 50 to 70% fail. RAND says 80%. I think the reason all that stuff's happening is because of the bottom thing here, which is decision paralysis is setting in. I don't actually think once a company starts doing things, if they've done their diligence, they're going to really fail per se if they do their diligence right. I think they're looking at all this stuff and there's so much stuff to do, they just give up. They don't understand exactly what they can accomplish with AI because there's just so much to do. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we can take some easy steps as CX leaders to have an impact in that space. So what can you do as a CX leader to ensure success within your area of influence within your organization? Number one, make it easy for customers to get what they need just by asking. So customers shouldn't have to go like all these different places to get exactly what they need. Just like if you roll up to the drive-thru at McDonald's, I should be able to ask for a cheeseburger and get a cheeseburger straight away. Replace those confusing menus. You don't have all these confusing things you got to do at the McDonald's drive-thru. You just ask the guy, hey, can I get a quarter pounder of cheese? He says, do you want fries with that? You want a Coke? You want to supersize it? And then you're on your way. That's the way AI should be as well. It should be all about conversations. Give every customer a personal, real-time experience. Personalization is the one thing that I think I cannot stress enough that makes a difference in CX. It makes a difference with brands. I live in Colorado. We live in a little town called Castle Rock, and my girlfriend and I go to this little Italian restaurant called Scaleppi's every once in a while. And when we walk in there, the bartender, Gavin, sees us from across the room, and if there's not two seats next together, he'll like make people move so there's two seats next together. And then by the time I actually get to the bar, he's already poured my Sangiovese wine that he knows that I like to drink. So like, it's personalization. He understands who I am. He sees me coming. He anticipates my needs. That's what AI should be doing. That's what we should be doing in CX. It's the same kind of thing. Now we know about Gavin's little cat with no ears. Do you know there's cats with no ears? It's the weirdest little, they have ears. They're just really short ears. Anyway, you should get up and running fast in the AI space. If your AI project, depending on what it is, right? There's some massive projects out there. But if your AI project in the CX space, for example, a chatbot, if you're taking over a year to deploy that, man, you're in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble. A chatbot should never take a year to deploy. AI is like dog years, right? For every human year, there's like 7 years for a dog or whatever it is. Same thing. If you've taken a year in AI to deploy a project, you might as well have taken 7 years, 3 years ago for a project. So if it's taken a long time for you to get up and running, you've got problems. Make sure your responses are accurate. I think this is probably obvious, but a lot of people still make assumptions. If it's AI, it's going to be okay, it's going to be accurate. Make sure that the tools you're looking at have guardrails and provisions in place so that you can ensure that the responses are accurate and you're not getting yourself into trouble by doing weird things like selling plane tickets for some ungodly amount or whatever it might be. Number one most important thing, Chad said it earlier, something about like don't do AI for AI's sake. If you can't get an ROI out of your AI, if you're not reducing support costs, and if you're not increasing sales, which is probably helping increase CSAT as well, why are you deploying AI? It's got to make a difference for you, and you should really be able to get just like you should be able to deploy quickly, you should be able to get an ROI super fast. I mean, 6 months is not uncommon from the time you start to deploy your project to the time you actually start to see a pretty significant ROI because you're doing things that used to take agents times to do. It used to be paying people, sometimes multiple people, sometimes tens, sometimes hundreds of people to do these things that AI can do right now. Why are you not getting an ROI? Before you even get started, you need to make sure that you're getting an ROI. So back to websites, they're dead, remember? We got to go back and talk about them for a second. And we have to have some stats, right? Because you can't do a presentation without stats, and otherwise you don't believe me. I'm reading this book called The Dose Effect. It's about how to improve your mental well-being and your performance and your productivity by increasing dopamine and oxytocin and serotonin and endorphins. And there's a chapter on taking cold showers. And he starts by talking about there's this research that says for people that take cocaine, when they do a hit of cocaine, it increases dopamine by 2.5x. And then he goes on to say, if you take a cold shower, it also increases dopamine by 2.5x. So every morning I'm taking this cold shower, I'm like, I'm sure, I've never done cocaine. I don't think this is what cocaine's like. I just don't think. So my point is, stats are goofy. Everybody's gonna show you stats. I don't even know if I believe this one, but this is what Forbes says, that 61% of consumers leave websites within 5 seconds. I can't do anything in 5 seconds. I can't even type the URL within 5 seconds, so I'd be in a lot of trouble. So I must be in the 39%. But of those 61%, 88% never return. The point is still valid, right? If a customer can't find what they want on your website, they're not going to go to your website. Your website will be dead. 71% of consumers expect personalization and real-time communication from brands. I go to Scaleppi's not because the food's great, it's okay. I go to Scaleppi's because Gavin knows what I want. He takes care of me. He makes sure that I feel welcome, and then I get the Sangiovese that I've been thinking about all week. Every day, 123 million people go to ChatGPT, and 10% of those folks actually use ChatGPT as a search engine, myself included. I don't know why going to Google and then having to look through all that stuff when I can just ask ChatGPT and they tell me what's going on. That's really the way I think our experiences should be going forward. So what are the fails? Rigid menus, complex navigations. This is like a nightmare, right? Generic experiences, it's not personalized. People don't know who I am when I go to their website for the most part. goofy chatbots that are like, hey, how can I help you? I'm your AI agent. And you ask it a question, it's like, I don't understand that question. Or hang on for an agent, a live agent. And then you're waiting there for a couple of hours for a live agent to come to you. And then fragmented communication channels. So sometimes you'll have like the Facebook, the Instagram, the SMS, the WhatsApp badges all on your website. They all go to different places. It's a hit or miss thing if it's going to help me solve my problem. That's what websites are today, for the most part. I mean, there's even chatbots on there. And by the way, there are some great chatbots out there. My company does chatbots, so I'm not saying all chatbots are garbage, but even then, it's still a little tiny thing on my website. Why are websites like that? So this is an example of a traditional, goofy website. It's got its hyperlinks from 2004, and it's got all these little menus. Maybe I can find what I want. Maybe I can't find what I want. But it's crazy to me because a couple weeks ago I was mountain biking with one of my buddies, and I have a 10-year-old mountain bike, and he's got this newer mountain bike. It's really cool. It has a button on it, so the post, like the seat, lowers when he wants to get off of it. So I'm like riding, and I have to get off my bike, and he's just like off of his bike, and then he like starts up again, and it pops back up. And I guess that's a normal thing on mountain bikes. So I'm like, I need a new mountain bike. End of discussion, and we keep going. The next day, I get all these ads on Instagram for mountain bikes. My phone was in my Camelback. I don't know. People say your phone's not listening to you. The technical definition, people say, well, maybe your buddy was actually searching mountain bikes, and then Instagram saw your locations were right next. This is really the explanation. Saw your location next to each other, and they saw you're in mountains, so they saw you probably want a mountain bike too because your buddy was searching for mountain bikes. And then I have these metapixels now that are attached to me that say I want a mountain bike. So now I'm clicking on these things. As soon as I click on this Instagram ad, like I want a Santa Cruz bike, as soon as I click on this Instagram ad for my bike, I go to a website. They have no idea who I am anymore. They had all this data on me. They don't know anything about it. So now I got to go back and I look through the Yetis, look through all these different bikes that I'm trying to look at, trying to figure out exactly what I want. Why is that? Why are websites so far behind? It's a wacky thing to me. So y'all are sitting here thinking, well, we're CX leaders. We're not marketing folks, right? We don't control the website for the most part. I don't control the website at my company. The CMO controls the website at my company. So what are the things that I can do? Well, imagine if you could take the CMO's website, push a little button here, you can do this and change the brand right away so that now the website becomes this conversational thing. Goofy website, push the button, and now it's almost like you've got this giant chatbot with your brand on there that you as a CX leader can control. Don't get me wrong, the CMO is going to want to get involved in this whole thing, but imagine that type of scenario. That should really be the standard, where it's a conversational interface. They've got easy ways to communicate, and it's personalized for you, for the customer. Because remember, metapixels, they should know who I am, or at least I should be able to authenticate, depending on how things go. You should be able to interact with brands, not websites. You want your customer to have an experience with your brand, something like this IKEA type of look when they get in front of your website, because you're the person responsible for customer experience, not necessarily the marketing person. So when you can have conversations on websites instead of clicking around, now you're increasing revenue because you're getting instant answers to your customer right away. You're not having to click around. Obviously, you should be reducing support costs because now AI is doing the things that a lot of agents used to be doing. And also, you're maximizing customer value because you're building relationships with your personalization. You should be able to do things, example, in the healthcare space, I should be able to book an appointment with my doctor. I should be able to fill prescriptions. Obviously, you should be able to do things like purchase things, account management. But because it's personalized, why can't your conversational website be upselling for you? Why can't your conversational website be telling your consumer, hey, I know that you like this, this, and this. We've got this great thing for you. Do you want to buy it? And obviously, you can still do things like customer support. That's very important too. The key is if you have a conversational website, if you change the way your website looks, then your customer should be able to ask for anything and get anything, I guess is a simplified way of saying that. Then when you have this layer on top of your website, now you've got this agentic experience with all this power behind it that the customer doesn't see. They see this personalized brand, but you've got CRM integrations, back-end databases, sometimes multiple agents, AI agents working behind there. Human agents can still work behind there as well and get supported with AI. So you've now created a true agentic experience. If we remember back to our definition of agentic, be able to perceive, to be able to reason, be able to act, and be able to learn, that learning loop. So we have our old goofy website. I didn't know I was going to say the word goofy, but I've been saying it a lot up here. I guess it's just what happens. And now, here's what the new website can look like. It's just a layer on top of this thing. So what should normally happen is you've got some kind of button here that says, have a conversation with us, or we had the little sparkly star thing, whatever it is, to get somebody to click on the shiny thing to actually start talking to you. And now you've got this thing here with your brand on it. By the way, it's very easy to implement. We can show you how to implement something like this in a short period of time. Streamlined navigation, hyper-personalization. In the example I gave, it could be because metapixels are following me around, or I could authenticate with Google. It depends on what your company wants to do, how they want to authenticate customers. Obviously, if they're a repeat customer, you should be able to recognize them with cookies and everything else. Dynamic action cards that are specific to who that customer is. So for me, if I'm looking at bikes and I come back to the page, I should be able to have things that are very specific to my interactions there. And then you should be able to talk and or text to the website. You shouldn't even have to do anything other than just type what you want or say what you want. So then once you do that, once you say, hey, in this case, that dude Alex had some kind of car wreck, and he's got talking to his insurance company, he needs to file a claim. But as soon as he comes on board here, he sees all of his earlier conversations as well. He's got his current conversations up there. He's trying to file a claim. But the previous things that he's done, which oftentimes are super relevant when you're talking to a brand. And if you're talking to your insurance company, they're like, oh, but hey, do you have insurance on your third dog's wagon or whatever it might be? And they're asking you all these weird questions. Well, you can see what you've done and what you haven't done. All your conversations, if the brand wants that to happen, can be available for the customer. So now they've got a very easy way to communicate. The conversation history is right here. Again, type or text, whatever you want, and all of your conversations are right here. And then once you come to a conclusion, once you have your claim filed, for example, it pops up over here, so it's readily available for you. And then it's personalized, and there's an anticipation. Okay, Alex got in a car wreck. Obviously, that thing's going to be in the shop for a long time. It's damaged. So now he's going to need a rental car, right? So we talked to him about rental cars. That's an example of some of the things you can do. Oh, and then you can always go back to the CMO's website, because he's going to want you to go back to the CMO's website whenever you want to, if you're not having fun with your personalized conversation. So really three pillars of success in a conversational website. One is the brand. We call it the setting up on this slide. One is the brand. The other one's the conversation, natural, personalized. This is what AI is supposed to be doing, talking to customers, whatever you're doing. Why don't websites do the same thing that ChatGPT does, that other things do? And then meta, which is effectively information, essentially. And it's what do you do with the information that you gather? How do you take action on it, et cetera? So what's a quick comparison? ChatGPT experience is very natural. This is a conversational website, talking to the thing, as opposed to having a little small box with a chat on there. Intelligent dynamic cards that pop up that are personalized for you, that help you get what you want, as opposed to really kind of like pre-programmed responses and you're not really sure exactly what you're going to get. Brand consistency. We talked about how you can have a little bit more control about your brand in that conversational website, as opposed to more of a generic appearance from a chatbot. And by the way, again, I want to make sure I'm clear. Chatbots are great, and there's a lot of really powerful ones. There's just a lot of goofy ones too. And then enterprise-grade integrations. So that's the most important thing, I think, in all this thing for success and for accuracy, is how quickly you can integrate to the back-end systems, gather the information you want, and then provide that to the customer. So, go back. So my company, Commbox, next week we're doing an announcement that's going to talk about our conversational website that's coming out. And this is exactly what it looks like.
We live in a new world of AI, where we get AI-level responsiveness everywhere, except on websites. You know what happens on websites? Users still dig through clunky menus and bounce between endless pages just to find an answer. Enter Commsite, a leap beyond traditional websites and chatbots to a conversational website, the new website standard. Commsite adds an intelligent interaction layer to your existing site, so customers can simply ask and get immediate answers and complete requests instantly 24/7 through natural conversation. Powered by a fleet of AI agents, seamlessly integrated with your core business systems, they handle back-end tasks and automate your customer service and sales operations. And they always know when to hand off to a human. There's more. Commsite understands your services, products, policies, and your brand voice. It delivers a personalized, dynamic experience that evolves with the conversation and shows full customer history across all channels. The results? Engagement soars. More conversions, operational costs drop, customer satisfaction explodes. Keep your existing website. Just add Commsite and transform your digital presence today. And all this, backed by enterprise-grade security and a decade of customer experience expertise. Did we forget something? Oh yes. Let's start a conversation. Commsite, your brand, reimagined to the AI era.
So, we can show you how to do this while we're here, or we can set up a call to show you how to do this. It doesn't take long. It seems like a lot because websites take a long time to build. It doesn't take long. It's I wouldn't say super easy, but it's super easy compared to the way you probably think it works. So feel free to ask. We're happy to show you how all this stuff works. We've got 3 minutes if anybody has any questions. Yes, ma'am. Of course.
Sorry, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. How would you think about this in the app ecosystem?
Well, I mean, it works on mobile devices. It also works in apps, just the same way. I guess it's not a problem to have it work with apps, and again, just in mobile devices as well.
We have another question here. Do you have any healthcare clients or applications in that system?
We do. We're an Israeli-based company. We actually have, there's 10 million people in Israel, and 8.5 million of those people run off of Commbox. The thing that I should tell you is EHRs in the US are different than EHRs in other places of the world. So for us, we believe that we're really good at integrations, but the problem with EHRs is if you haven't done an integration with them, you've got to do one first. So that's the big key. But we have a partner in the US that will act as a middleware company, but for a true actual integration, that's just a heads up, we've got to do the integration. But we do actually really well with healthcare. For us in Israel and also in Europe, people communicate mostly on WhatsApp, and people are doing almost everything on WhatsApp to schedule appointments, to fill prescriptions, to do everything. And a few years ago, they were having to call, like 5 years ago, they were having to call in before they deployed us. Good question, thanks.
Hi, so I'm from Extra Space Storage. We are building a similar chatbot experience on the website. You had the statistics up there saying that 61% of the people bounce from the website before they even know what they're looking for. So a question that keeps bothering me every day is, why would someone interact with the chatbot where there's nothing there on the website to even know what they want to shop for?
Well, if I understood your question, why would somebody activate the chatbot if there's nothing on the website that they want to shop for? I think what you're saying is, if we don't have the data on our website, then how are you going to get it up for the chatbot? Is that what you're saying?
A customer doesn't know what they're shopping for if they don't see anything.
Well, the customer's got to know, at least be able to ask the question, honestly, right? If they can't ask the question, and because it's AI, we can help them through it. It's just kind of like if you go to ChatGPT and you're like, hey, write a book for me. The next question is going to be like, what do you want to write a book about? Same kind of thing. We can help guide the customer where they need to go. But one thing that's very cool is, if your website is missing, if your website's lacking information, that doesn't necessarily slow a conversational website down because we can feed it data from other places, and it's SEO searchable. So you can do a Google search and get all this information, even if your website doesn't have all the information that you need it to. So I've got 10 seconds, so I think that's the end for me, but thank you very much for your time. Thanks.